look for a call for proposal, you can either come to the latest publication, or you can go and do a search by maybe a code or the thematic area, or you can just key in the country and it will be able to bring you some of the codes which are in relation to that specific country. But also there's the issue of the advanced search whereby you can maybe do the program area, you can do the geographical zone. You can also type the the state of the funding that you desire to seek for, be it a grants, a training, a supplier services, or what. And on the status, there are those ones which have been closed, like completely tendered. There are those ones which are open now, the ones which you can be able to apply for, and there are those ones which are forecasted, the ones which are yet to come. So you can, when it was published, and you can also do the date and do the search. So you can use 8 of the 3 when you are doing your search. But for this, we can use this for the purpose of this training, latest publications. So when you go to the icon for latest publication and then you do the search, it will bring you the codes which have been released and the ones which are open, like you can be able to apply for them, as you can see. And when the status is green, it means that the codes are open and one can put in an application. But also they show you the date when the code was published. They also show you the type of the code, be it a grant, action, be it a training, be it a suppliers, or as you saw them in the screen above. But also the country or the geographical zone where that specific code is supposed to be implemented. Like as you can see, there is one code for Moldova, there's one for Albania, there's for Syria, and when there are calls for maybe Zimbabwe, Egypt, you will be able to see your country here when you do like a complete search of all the open calls. And also the specific program where they are focusing. Like I told you that the neighborhood is the one which mostly focuses on the developing countries, the third world and the third world countries, the ACB, actually, the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. So there's also the PSSation. All of this, you'll be able to find this information on this particular website. So when you want, for instance, when you want to check what that code entails, you go to the specific code. For instance, let's go to this 171952. When you click on it, it will take you now to the interface which has the finer details of the code. Like you can see, there is the program, it focuses on others. The type of the, when you need the code, it's a grant action. It is open until 25th of June 2021, and the budget for it is 6 million. It was published on 11th of May 2021, and the reference for it is this. Under this section, you'll be able to also find the documents or the documentation in relation to this specific code. Like, for instance, the first document, it's usually the guideline, the one which we are going now to cover in our next presentation. The guideline shows you the specific details which are required for you to be able to respond to this call. It gives you the objective of the program. It gives you the budget for the program. It gives you the location where the program will be implemented, and also the entities that you can engage in responding to that particular call. But also over and above that, it also stipulates the various finer details that you need to adhere to when you are doing the application. The number of pages in relation to the restricted course, that is the concept note, the number of pages that you're supposed to adhere to, the font size that you're supposed to use, the attachments that you are supposed to include when you are sending your concept notes, and also some of the guidelines in relation to now elaborating your concept notes, the various issues which goes to relevance, the various issues which goes to objectives, and also the various issues which goes to sustainability of the program. So all those things should be able to find them in the guidelines. But also over and above the guidelines, you'll be able to find the application form. Like now, for this one, it's a restricted call. Being a restricted call means that you have to do the first part of the application, that is the concept note, and then you go to the second part once the first part has been approved. So this guideline is also there. There's also the Annex B, as you can see, the template for the budget. There's also the template for the electrical framework, uh, uh, which you use to come up with your own frame. And the other details that they need. For instance, the issue of the declaration of owner, the people that you're engaging, the co-applicants and the associates and the affiliates, which kind of declaration that they're supposed to make to show that they recommit in, in the implementation of the program. So they're supposed to sign this document and some of the details which are required in respect to that specific code. So this uh, uh, interface gives you all the information that you need for you to be able to apply. And one thing that we are encouraging our members or our various participants to do before even they start applying for the code is to understand deeply what the guidelines entails. Because through the guidelines, you could be able to know whether you are eligible to apply for that specific code or not. So once you understand the guidelines, then these other documents will just follow. So this is what was being used previously. And as I've already told you, it's being phased out. Going now to the funding and tendering portal, which is now the OPSI system. Uh, Let me click on this link. Uh, this is how the system looks. Like as you can see, it is more or less the same, but it has more functionalities as compared uh, uh, to the Europe Aid website. And we are giving you a warning here that the system is not fully functional, so they are continuously updating it to make it fit for the new programming period 2021-2027. But of critical importance, which I also wanted you to appreciate, is that when you go to this website, you will be able to see uh, the forthcoming calls for proposal. You'll be able to see the open calls for proposal. You'll be able to see the closed calls for proposal. And on this part, all the calls for proposal are here. The ones which have been closed, the ones which have been open, the ones which are yet to come. So once you click on either of the icon, it will be able to take you to the specific uh, uh, um, program that you want to check. Like now, you can see all these are closed. These are closed calls for proposal. Um, these are the ones which are open, the open calls for proposal, as you can see. And if you go to the forthcoming, then it will be able to see you the ones which are yet to come. And like the other system, it has also the type of the code, whether it is restricted, meaning that you have to do the concept node and then you go to the full proposal, the deadline, where it's being implemented, and the title of the program. It also shows you the day it was published, the application date, and the time by when you are supposed to submit the call for proposal. So that is it. I'll be able to share these links that are there in my presentation, which once we are done with this training, you can be able to go and check and see how the European Union is organizing themselves for these RELEX actions. So thank you. I now open the floor for maybe comments and questions before we move to the to the third part of this training.
Eric, could you share a link on the chat and then they try and see that they can access the site themselves? I think Actimo is asking a question.
Eric. Hello, Eric. I he seems not hearing me. Hello, Eric.
Eric, you're muted.
Yes, please, Actimo. Please proceed, but your network is not clear. But just try and see whether we can be able to hear you.
Okay, my question, Eric, thank you very much for this, really important, but again, what the difference between and the normal proposal? Hello?
Sorry, Actimo, I think I did not get you.
Maybe you could type your
Did
question.
someone get Actimo? Dr. Karimi, will you?
No, I'm saying it was not clear. So maybe he could type his question.
Actimo, please type your question. We'll be able to see it and I'll be able to respond to it.
Have you seen his question, Eric?
What's the difference between tendering and a normal proposal? Yeah, I've seen, yes. Let me try to respond it this way. Like I said in my introduction part of the training, where I was talking about us engaging with the various European Union delegations, in the grant part, when the European Union does support to external action, it focuses on quite a number of entities, be either private, public, or CSOs. So for the private and public entities, it's more or less tendering. Like now, if the government of Zimbabwe wants to do a road and it needs support from the European Commission, that's how they get support through the system. So there is a whole ecosystem for tendering for public entities and private entities. But for civil society organizations, it's more or less calls for proposals, funding, which comes through the calls for proposals. That's why they call it the funding and tendering portal to encompass every stakeholder who is involved in action. Thank you. And another question or issue before I move to the other aspect. I'm trying to on my side. Do the sharing of the charts. Maybe I'll send it directly to Asira so that they can be able to put it on the charts. I don't know what's up. So yeah, once Asira shares the ring, you can be able to try, check through the website, and if you find any challenge, we'll attempt to it once we are done with this session. So let me go to the this third part, which we are supposed to cover in this training. Someone to confirm whether my presentation is shared.
On the screen?
Sorry? Yes. Whether it's on the screen, it has come.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the other part which we also like the participants to appreciate is the various steps which are involved in the concept note development. Like I told you, this is for a restricted code, the one which requires you to go through the concept note and then the full proposal. But there are also codes which require applicants to just do the proposals alone. It's called the open calls for proposal. So for the restricted, you have to follow through the concept note and then you go to the proposal. And we can all understand that the concept note is not the beginning of designing your action, but the end of your action. Why are we saying that it is the end of our action? Because before even you sit down and say that now I want to write my concept note, there are quite a number of various steps that you need to go through for you to be able to come onto that conclusion. One of them, you need to do the planning. You need to meet up with maybe the people that you are going to involve in the project. You need to check whether you have um, uh, resources available to be able to meet the co-financing which is being requested by the European Commission, and whether the objective of the call really aligns with your uh, objectives, and maybe if it is a common area, whether you can be able to contribute to that common area. So there are quite a number of analyses which are being done. What Dr. Karimi will be taking us tomorrow, you have to do the problem analysis, you do the stakeholders analysis, you do the objective analysis, and then you do the strategy analysis. So once you do all those analyses, then you will come to the conclusion that what you are going to put down in form of the concept notes is something which will be able to sell and maybe be accepted by the European Commission for funding. So ICA team, that is the project of SAS, being guided by one who has been doing this work, the project coordinator for the Americas region, we did come up with a quick guide which will be able to support our participants when it comes to them developing the concept notes. And we had shared the same guide with you in the materials that we shared, But briefly, I like to take you through the guide so that you can also be able to appreciate what I'm telling you. So I'll again start the sharing. So this is how, this is the guide, but it is a draft guide. We have not completed it. As you can see, we were supposed to release it in April 2021, but there are quite a number of things, that internal processes that we need to go through for us to be able to have the document approved and ready for sharing. But ideally, this is the idea that we wanted to put across, that when you start doing your concept notes, number one, what you need to do is you need to review the call for proposal. And for you to be able to review the call for proposal, you need to understand the guideline for applicants. As well as, usually from the European Commission, the European Commission and also the European Union delegations, they do have info sessions whereby once they do publish the call, they engage with the applicants on the various aspects in relation to that specific call. So they usually plan for those info sessions. They take you through of what you're supposed to do, uh, the, 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 the things that you're supposed to look at. But the supreme document, when it comes to this, or for you as an applicant to understand what is expected, is for you to be able to go through the guidelines uh, for the call for proposal. So once you understand the guidelines, like I told you, the guideline contains the objectives of the call. It shows you the deadline, when the call is supposed to be submitted, the concept note. It also shows you the reachability criteria, like whether your organization is reachable or not reachable, the people that you're engaging, the stakeholders, those are the core applicants, the affiliated entities, and maybe the associates, whether they are reachable or not reachable for those specific calls for proposal. The minimum and maximum number of the core applicants that you're supposed to engage in a call for proposal, even the half rates. There's also the issue of the percentage of co-financing, the money that you're supposed to contribute towards the program. There's also a specific percentage which the European Commission gives. There's the minimum and the max duration, that is the period to when the program is supposed to be implemented, and also other specific minor details like the page numbers, the font that you're supposed to use, the content, what's supposed to go into the content of the concept note, and all such kind of finer details. So the second step is the one of now, maybe once you've seen that you can be able to meet what is in step one, you discuss internally with your organization and agree that you are going to proceed and do the application for the call for proposal. So for internal discussion, this is where you look at the issues of who are you going to engage with, the maximum and the minimum number of co-applicants. Because I know this is not like a decision of one person. You have to engage your maybe the management and maybe the board of directors of your company or your organization for them to give you an okay to engage with those people so that you can start involving them from the very go in the planning of the concept note. There's also the issue of eligibility. Eligibility, this is, there are quite a number of various aspects that the European Commission looks at. You are either maybe a private entity, an NGO, government entity. So they, in their calls for proposal guideline, they specify which entity is supposed to apply, be it a civil society or a government entity. That also now takes us to the question of ACTMO, the tendering and the funding. So if it is a government entity, then you know you're supposed to do a tendering. If it is an NGO or a CSO, then you're supposed to go for funding. There are also the objectives of the call. The human resources are available, whether the team you have will be able to put their energies and meet the deadline for the submission of the call. There is also the third stage, which is now your organization registering in PADOR. But now, as you can realize, the new system is OPSIS. So once you go to the OPSIS system, you are supposed to register the organization for you to be able to get the personal identification code, the PIC number. So this PIC number will be able to allow you, when you are doing the submission through the prospect, to be able to submit your code. So you register in that system, make sure that you've provided in various necessary document that they have requested for, like the financial information for maybe the last 2 or 3 years, the legal registration of your company, and all those information which will come from them, which require you to fill. There is now the issue number 4, which more or less focuses on the people that you are going to involve in the program, the co-applicants. Like now, if it is junior achievement Zimbabwe applying, junior achievement can decide, maybe depending on the level of expertise they have in a specific topic, to engage with a similar organization which has maybe a higher level of expertise in that topic. They can decide to engage with maybe SINACO, or if it is SINACO doing an application on maybe financial literacy and they don't have that expertise, then they can approach junior achievement as a co-applicant to do the submission together. So you need also to engage with these stakeholders for you to be able to understand whether they are willing, they are buying into your idea, for you to be able to make the submission together. So you need to select your partners correctly, so that you don't start the process and then maybe at the middle of it, some of them pulls out. You can even go to the extent of signing a memorandum of understanding with that particular organization, committing to the full commitment of the entire process and the submission of the project. Now the fifth step is the one of now designing your concept note, where you analyze the situation and the problem of your target group. This is more specifically focusing much on the analysis part, where you do, after you've done your stakeholders analysis in step 4, you can now come and do your objective analysis. You do your, together with the various stakeholders, you do your problem analysis, and also you do your strategy analysis. So through that, you can be able now to come up with concrete ideas which will be able to support you in elaborating your results chain, starting from the objectives that you're going to cover, the specific outputs, the specific activities that you are going to engage, and how those activities, outputs, and outcomes are going to contribute to the maybe great objective which is being stipulated in the call for proposal. And then step number 6 is for you to be able now to submit. But once you go to this last stage, one thing also you need to realize is that there are quite a number of things which you need to take into account. Number 1, you need to ensure that your organization is registered in PADOR, what we have just shared in step 3. Also ensure that the co-applicants are also registered in PADOR, as well as the affiliated entity. Sometimes the European Commission requires that the two, that is the lead applicant and the co-applicant, register in PADOR. The affiliated entities is sometimes not mandatory. But what we encourage our members and the people that we engage with is that for the people that you're involving in the call for proposal, or for the stakeholders that you're engaging in the call for proposal, you need to ensure that most of them, they have these details, and they are registered in PADOR. Now the new system, OPSIS. And then the person submitting, the organization submitting, is supposed also to sign the declaration form, but also the co-applicants and the affiliated entities. There is sometimes a requirement that they are supposed to sign the declaration of honor. So you have also to make sure that all those documents are signed, and in the submission pattern, then you can be able to attach your concept note, you attach your declaration of the lead applicant, as well as maybe the declaration of honor from the co-applicants and the affiliated entities. So once you are certified, then you can be able now to submit. So those are the 6 steps that we think are very critical when it comes to this um, calls for proposal submission, also the concept notes. And then after now the concept note is evaluated and maybe granted, then the European Commission will issue a communication to you inviting you to do or to move to the second stage, which is the full proposal application and also submission. The same also goes through similar step, but not really exactly as the ones which have we've highlighted in the concept note development, but they are more or less similar, because what you are doing in the proposal, the full proposal, is a build up of what you could have done in your concept notes. So there are also issues which are supposed to look at, like now the issue of human resource, the issue on how you are going to budget for your activities, and all those issues. When all those many issues needs to be taken care of at the proposal stage, elaboration of it, as well as elaborating what you've done in your concept notes in now the full proposal. The other thing that you're supposed to check to look at, like when you go to the guidelines for the calls for proposal, there is a checklist that they issue at the back of it. So you are also supposed to make sure, like when you are doing the submission, you go through the checklist and tick through to make sure that you've complied to every aspect that you're supposed to cover. You're supposed to, like, you understand the guidelines, you tick whether you have met the minimum number of co-applicants that are supposed to be involved in the program, you tick whether you have the required co-financing, you tick all those things. So whether your concept note is maybe the 5 pages or the 6 allowable pages, whether you've used the correct font, and all those final details. So you go to that checklist, make sure that you check through and tick. But also in our experience, we did come up with a few tips, top tips, which will be able to support our members and the various participants to understand what they are supposed to do in relation to submission of those calls for proposal, the concept note. So this form, the checklist, you need to check it, make sure that it's correctly filled. You've used the correct forms which are being provided, maybe for the concept note development, and also the proposal, the budget, the ones which are supposed to be signed, like the declaration of owner or the declaration of the lead applicants. So you need to check and make sure that you've used the correct formats and also the required documents. So this is the guide. It's a highly summarized guide, which I hope once you have it, it will be able to guide you through, for you to be able to maneuver through these calls for proposal from the European Commission. So allow me to stop sharing again so that we move to the presentation. Just a moment. Yeah. So for the concept note steps, I've just listed, but it's more or less what I've just shared with you. Like, you need to understand the objectives of the code and the priorities which they are focusing. Sometimes you find like there are 2 or 3 priorities that they are focusing, and most of the times the expectation is that the European Commission requires applicants to focus on one or two priorities. So you need also to be careful when you are going to the guidelines, make sure whether you've picked the correct lot and you are responding to that specific lot. The financial allocation, whether you've met the co-financing like I told you, the eligibility, the evaluation criteria, and also the contract and award procedure, the rules of implementation, the list of annexes and the forms that you're supposed to complete for you to be able to attach to the when you are doing the submission. There are a few issues that I like you to take note, and mostly, you know, this is actually very common when applicants are submitting the projects. Sometimes not all projects are approved. Reason being, most of them they don't pass through the first stage, which is called the opening and administrative checks by the European Commission. So in the administrative checks, they check the most basic things, such as whether you've respected the deadline, like your concept note is submitted on or before the time which they have given. Number two, they also look at the criteria which is being provided in Annex 2. And this criteria details the specific issues that you are supposed to take into account when you are drafting your concept note. Such issues include you've picked the correct lot, you've identified the geographical zone where the program or the project is being is to be implemented, whether it is in line with what they have stipulated. The minimum number of co-applicants, this one you need to be careful. The grant, whether you've stated clearly that this is what you are going to provide in terms of co-financing for the project. There's also the duration of the program, which also participants and applicants are supposed to take into account. So once you make sure that these issues are being adhered to, then you say that now you are comfortable and you'll be able to submit your sellable concept notes to the European Commission. But over and above that, there are specific issues which needs to be looked into, which are looked into. One of them, you need to ensure that when you are writing your concept note, it complies with the specific requirements which are being given. Number one, you need to check that in your description of the action, you've maintained the 2 maximum page, which has been allowed. Relevance and design of the proposed action, usually they talk of 3 that you need to make sure that the 3 pages are adhered to. And then whether you've done the correct attachment of the documents which are supposed to accompany the concept note. So participants and the applicants are encouraged to make sure that these finer details of these finer issues are adhered to. And without adhering to them, then it means that automatically your concept note will be disqualified. How to decide to proceed with a proposal? So once you've understood the guideline for the calls for proposal, then you need to decide on how you are going to proceed. And usually, most people use what we call the mind mapping tool. This is whereby you get with your stakeholders, maybe with your colleagues from the office, you sit down and then you start brainstorming on how you foresee the program is going to look, what kind of collaboration that you need, what kind of resources that you need, the kind of gadgets or machines that you need to have, the creativity part of it, the ideas, the innovation, and the thoughts around it, and also the aspect of planning. what is the project about, what are the goals, which kind of strategies that we are going to employ for us to be able to have a winning concept note. So coming up with a project idea through a brainstorming and mind mapping kind of interaction is one of the best, because by that you could have like that had all the issues that you want to be addressed, and from a wide range of people. You need also to see the added value of the idea uh, to your specific organization. What is the added value, or what the organization is also contributing to this kind of maybe thematic area that is being fronted for the call for proposal. The consortium, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, what are their, like you do more or less kind of a SWOT analysis of the people that you are going to engage. The time, how much time are you going to dedicate for you to be able to come up with the concept note? There's also the issue of financial feasibility. You need also to check with your organization to make sure that they'll be able to maybe support the program in terms of the co-financing, and maybe whether they'll be able to manage the kind of funding that will come from the European Commission. So this is where now you start realigning and see maybe once the program is approved, what kind of human resource you need, what kind of materials or equipment that you desire for you to be able to proceed with the project. And so many other things. This is just a guide on how to proceed with the proposal or with the concept note development. Over and above that, then you need now to start developing your concept notes, whereby you understand, after you've understood the objectives and the priorities, then you go to the issue of now start unpacking the problem that you're going to tackle. You check on the feasibility and the consistency of the issues that you're going to put across, that chronological order of how the program is going to unfold, the approaches, the strategy, and the methodologies that you're going to use, and also maybe looking at some of the technical expertise that you need for you to be able to achieve the results which is required in the program. This is where also you're supposed to do your comparative advantages, analysis. You get your advantages, disadvantages, and then from there you can be able to weigh and see the costs and the benefits which come with that. But also, if there are issues which needs to be clarified even before you proceed to writing your concept notes, this is where now the info session from the issuer of the calls for proposal becomes critical. You're supposed to engage with them. You're supposed to consult with them for them to be able to clarify those issues that you think they're not so clear to you. So once you're clear in your mind, then you will now engage and start writing the concept notes. And in the concept notes, there are quite a number of things which are done. But before we go to this part, because this is mostly what will be covered in our tomorrow training, I'd like to show you some of the issues which I've been highlighting in a practical guide from the European Commission on how those issues unfold when it comes to responding to the calls for proposal. So again, allow me to take you to the website. We get one guideline and then we go through it and see the various issues that I've been talking about. So I'm taking you to where we were, and then I like us to open one of the calls. Let's open this one, 1952, which is touching on conflict and climate change, a new challenge and opportunity for peace building. It's talking of miscellaneous countries. So this is a call for proposal, which more or less is focusing not only on one country, but quite a number of countries and different geographical zones. So when you open the call, like I told you earlier, it takes you to this section where you are able to interface with the system of the European Commission and the various issues that they like you to address. So we go to the guidelines for this call. Let me open them. I think I'll have to stop again and start sharing. Yeah. So this is how the guidelines for the calls for proposal look like. I don't know whether you are able to see. Usually they come with a specific format. So sometimes it becomes hard to interfere with the format that they have used. But this is how they look. Like you will be able to see the contracting authority. It is the European Commission. The type of the call is an instrument contributing to stability and peace, uh, more so focusing on the topic of conflict and climate change. So this is the reference number. No, this is the reference number. But also in the call, in the guideline, they show you the deadline to when you are supposed to submit your concept note. And down here, you can be able to adjust the timing to suit your local timing. But usually, what they do it in pluses, date and time. Uh, there is a notes which is being usually given, like for you to be able to apply for the calls for proposal. Number one, they tell you that it's a restricted call, meaning that you have to develop the first the concept note, and then you go to the next stage once the concept note has been evaluated and approved. So you need to understand this notice, make sure that you are in sync with it, you understand what they are requesting. But also, there is also a notice that for any applicants who is desiring to submit an application, then it has to be done through prospect, the online submission via prospect. And the organization is supposed to register in PADOR and also do the submission in prospect. So all these issues, like we said, now they are being moved to OPSIS ecosystem, to the funding and tendering portal. So once you go to the tendering and funding portal, you'll be able to see the open calls for proposal. Once you click on the open call for proposal, for you to be able to proceed. There's also the table of contents, which highlights the issues that is being covered in the guideline. But of critical importance to us is once you go now to the background, they give you a background of the issue that they want you to address, the issue of conflict, climate change, a new challenge and opportunity for peace building. Those they give you a background to that, and as to why the European Union thinks this is a critical area that needs to be explored and supported and contributed to in terms of development. So there's that background which is given. There's also the objectives part of it, specifying the priority. Something. Am I back? So sometimes, when you're distracted, the network gets interrupted. But if I'm audible, then I can proceed. Then you get the objectives of the call. You understand the objectives of the call, um, the specific objectives, and also the global objective, the priority areas. This is where, like I was telling you, once you understand the global objective of the call, then they split it into specific objectives, which they call lots. So applicants are supposed to focus on either one lot or two lots when they are doing the application for, for the calls for proposal. Uh, so also they give you details on what you are supposed to include, like each applicant has to address all the following methodological elements. They show you what you are supposed to address. The financial allocation provided by the contracting authority. This is whereby, like now, the call maximum budget for the call is 6 million, but uh, the minimum that one can be able to apply for this call is 1.5. 1,500,000 euro. But also the maximum one can be able to do is 3 million of the total budget. So if you see that you can be able to manage this grant, then you proceed and do the application. But also going down, they also specify to you that the minimum percentage of the reachable cost that is supposed to be covered is 80%. Like now, for the minimum, if you are doing 1.5, then the minimum percentage of the reachable cost that is supposed to be taken care of is 80% of that. But for the maximum percentage of the total reachable cost of the action, you see, again, they say that they could cover up to 95%. So meaning that if they are providing you 95% of the budget, for instance, of the 3 million, then your BAT will be 5%, what you're supposed to do as the co-financing part of it for this specific program. So you do your calculation of the 5% of the 3 million, and then now that will be what you will be contributing towards the program. Coming again to the other issue is on the rules for the calls for proposal, one of them being the eligibility criteria, like who is supposed to apply for this call. And usually, like I told you, there are three categories of people that are supposed to apply for the call. Number one, they expect the submission to have a lead applicant who is the main organization which is applying for the call, who is going to manage the grant, receive and manage the grant. There is also the issue of the co-applicants, the people who are going to act or support in the implementation of the various actions in relation to this call for proposal, and also the affiliated entities, as well as the other categories of people, the contractors and the associates. So for the eligibility criteria for the lead applicants, this is the entity which is submitting the application. And if any, it is co-applicants where it is not specified, otherwise the lead applicant and the co-applicant, yeah. So the two of them, actually they are being referred to us as their applicants, because the specific roles that they are going to do are much closely related. Implementation of the various actions in relation to the call for proposal. There's also the aspect of the action. This is where now you, which lot, like now,
Did we lose Eric?
Yeah, it sounds like we have lost him.
Doctor.
Let me open the call, we continue.
There are quite a number of stages that are being involved before one develops a concept note. And one thing that we realized notes is that a concept note is actually um, it's a document which we term as it's the final document, because before you putting down the concept notes, there are quite a number of steps that you have to follow through. You have to do the analysis, you have to check the people that you need to engage in the programming, you need to get approval from your organization, you need to check and know whether you have the required money to support in the co-financing and all those things. So once you put those perspectives, those things together, now you can decide to proceed and start writing the concept notes. So there is a tool, the mind mapping tool, which supports participants in trying to reorganize their information into now coming up with a draft concept note. And also one thing also which I did note to the participant is that as ICA, we've come up with a very simplified guide which can support our participants and the members that we are serving in developing the concept notes. So briefly, that's what we covered yesterday. And I back to you, Dr. Karimi. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric, for that recap. I hope, Rona, you are somewhere. That's what we covered yesterday. And so for today, I think because we have understood that the concept note is the beginning and the end, the most important document, I think we'll just go straight away to, because we were given the steps, we'll go straight away to the participatory approach of developing or really analyzing our project, what it is we want to present to the European or to any funder for that case. And in this case, I'll look at the log frame approach. And the log frame has two main phases. We shall do the analysis stage or the analysis phase and the planning phase. In the analysis phase, this is where we really try to identify the problem. What is the problem that we want to solve? Then we do a stakeholder analysis. Who are the stakeholders, or who are the key stakeholders that will be involved in our project? Then we do an objective analysis. And an objective analysis is actually just trying to look into the future. What are the solutions of the problems that we have identified in our problem analysis? And then a strategy analysis. A strategy analysis is what are the appropriate strategies that we shall use to achieve the objectives or the solutions that we have identified. Now, in the planning phase, then we are trying to develop a log frame matrix. So these are just related. So we are defining the structure of the project, looking at the internal logic, what are the risks, and also looking at the measurable indicators. What indicators will actually show us that we have actually achieved what we are trying to achieve, and then we design the activities. And after designing the activities, it's important to note that all activities have a cost, because you cannot do activities without funding. So we are trying to look at the operational plan and the budget. Yeah, this is the logical framework, whatever approach. Now for the problem analysis, I would like us to, do you have the problem analysis, Geoffrey? Yeah, these are the steps I was talking about. Now, do you have the problem analysis, the analysis phase? Or you want us to start with the stakeholders? Usually, let's start there. These are the individuals or the people that could have interest in the success or failure of the project. And I think acting more in their work, they really come across these stakeholders. And what is our basic assumption here is that different groups have different concerns, capacities and interests that need to be clearly understood and identified. And the key questions to ask here is whose problems or capabilities are we going to analyze? Who is going to gain or lose? And in what way? Due to our project intervention. So if you look at the concept call for Malawi, the one that was sent out, maybe a quick question would be, who are the stakeholders in that call? If you are to respond to that call, who could be the stakeholders? Did we have time to look at the call for Malawi? Geoffrey, share the call. You do a lot of sharing today.
It was quite comprehensive, Doc.
I share it here on screen.
Yeah, you can share it so that we can identify if we are to respond to that call,
Okay.
who would our stakeholders be? Actimo, you sent something. Actimo. As Geoffrey looks for the call, I was asking who could be the stakeholders in that case, because the issue is to improve the livelihoods of the people, the communities around the national parks. Is it national parks? Yes, in Malawi. You can move to the objectives, I think, page 1 or 2. Go to lot 1. There is lot 1 above, exactly. And the objectives are up there. So we are saying in lot 1, the types of activities should support communities around national parks and wildlife reserves to identify enterprises and products according to local resources and potential markets. And then giving examples of the giant bamboo planting, hedgerows of nitrogen fixing trees or other multipurpose trees, helping migrate the effects of climate change. Link enterprises identified to markets as to contribute to increased incomes of communities around national parks. So I asked who are the stakeholders who would be impacted by success or failure of this project if we were to carry it out. Wisdom?
The national, oh, okay.
The national park, whoever, that organization, even the communities themselves, isn't it?
Yes.
We have maybe non-governmental organizations operating around that area. We also have these micro enterprises. We have the buyers of the products, these multipurpose trees.
Businessmen.
Yes. So then we are
the
thinking
local
about
leaders.
Mm-hmm. We're also talking about the government itself, their policymakers or anyone else. So this project will really have so many stakeholders, and we need to take into account of how our intervention is going to impact on all those. That means we need to either involve them or at least engage them. Also the environment itself, maybe the conserver, those who are conserving, etc. And if it's around national parks, I remember there was a time in Kenya, a road was being built next to the Nairobi National Park, and there were a lot of activists that were thinking that is wrong. So that also become, those are also other stakeholders, the CSOs involved to look at while identifying this. Now, move up, Geoffrey. I think someone to, what is the objective? Yeah, we are down here. The actions must take place in the Republic of Malawi. So as Eric pointed out yesterday, you really have to be keen when you are looking at this course, because if we are looking at this and we want to apply for the action to take place in Zimbabwe, that will not be allowed, isn't it? Because we've already been, it has already been indicated that the action has to take place in Malawi. So again, those are the final details that need to be looked at. Now go at the 2 lots. Just down, I think.
I think it's up to the checklist.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Asira, you need to exactly. Go up.
So we have 2 lots here. 2 lots, meaning we cannot apply for the 2.
One
Your
point
something. Moving up and down. Geoffrey.
1 up.
1 step up.
Okay.
Yeah, then.
Okay. I just move up. Up 1.2.
The one explaining what the lots are. Yes. Yeah, that is fine. The objectives and the priority issues. So the global objective of that Malawi core, where are you moving?
That's 1.2, I said. You need to stake it at 1.2.
1.1, I think it, yeah, these are details. Just go to 1.2. Yes, there. So you really have to be keen on what the objectives are for that call. Here we are being told the global objective is to promote a meaningful and structured participation of CSOs in domestic policies of partner countries. And the specific objective is to increase participation of CSOs in tackling climate change and mitigation of its adverse effects. And the core is focusing on two priorities, or what they two lots. In lot 1, it's promoting livelihood in protected areas through enterprise development to alleviate poverty and mitigate the impact of climate change on the lives of community members. And then lot 2 is to promote sustainable management of waste to enable the transition to climate resilient, low emission circular economy. So my question to you is, if these two priorities, are you able to, in one concept note, focus on the two? One is promoting livelihood activities, the other one is promoting sustainable management of waste. We can only focus on one. So now it's upon us to know or to decide as an organization what or where do we have the strength. So are we going to focus on priority number 1 or priority number 2? Or depending on the number of priorities the particular core has got. In this case here, group work, we are going to focus later, not now, on priority number 1, promoting livelihood activities of the communities. So I want you to have that at the back of your head. We want to promote livelihood activities of the communities surrounding protected areas through enterprise development in order to alleviate poverty and mitigate the impacts of climate change on the lives of community members. The other one is also interesting, but we cannot focus on 2. We have to focus on 1 in any call. So I think we are done with that. Geoffrey, I just wanted us to know what priority we shall focus on as we go to the analysis phase now. Wisdom out power problems. So is a customer for your solar. Geoffrey, go to the problem analysis as we try to identify the major problems and what are the causes of those problems. Thank you. So in the problem analysis, we shall identify the major, not the mere, problems and its causes. And the most common method is what we call a problem tree. Now, this is a participatory method, and it involves a lot of brainstorming, like we shall do in this group. We identify what the problems of the region are, perhaps in Malawi, of those communities around the park. That is the target group. We'll write them down, and each, let me call it a cant, but when we go to the Jamboard, you have to write only one problem in one sticker. And then we clarify. By clarifying, we are trying to identify now what is called. We have all these collection of problems we think are the problems the community in that Malawi case is facing, but which is really the core problem. You know, there's a core problem and these others are just maybe the causes of that problem. And then the next thing we shall do, we shall attribute the other problems in relation to this core problem. By attributing, we are trying to see, is this a cause of the problem or an effect of that problem? If we are thinking about the problem of sanitation, for instance, in a slum, maybe there is no clean water to drink. What could be the cause of there being no clean water to drink? And what could be the effect of such a problem? Wisdom. What could be one of the problems leading to a problem of lack of drinking water for the people in the slums? You're muted. Wisdom or anyone else?
In relation to the issue of climate change, it could be reduced rainfalls.
So there could be reduced rainfalls. What else?
Dr. Karime, indiscrimination cutting down of trees leading to the altering of the climate system.
So that is also causing the climate change, where we are really trying to cut down trees either for timber or for firewood. So you can see we are having so many problems, and then we shall try to find out, is this a cause or an effect? So climate change there looks like an effect up there. And what is the cause? There is indiscriminate cutting of of trees. Move to the next slide, Geoffrey. So this is our problem tree. We are saying we need to have a central problem. Of all those problems that you have brainstormed and come up with as an organization or as a group, then what is that central problem? There must be that mother of all problems. And then you try to attribute these other problems they'll come up with as whether they are causes or whether they are effects of that particular central problem. So then we shall have something looking like a tree. We have the causes here, like looking like the roots. Then our central problem is the trunk. And then these effects, which could either be direct or indirect, then become the branches or the effects. So this is our problem. In our problem, we have gotten all those things we have brainstormed upon, and we together identify, actually, this is the main cause. Or maybe the children are getting sick, or there is a public health issue because there is lack of drinking water in the slum, which is being caused by lack of rainfall, maybe for them to collect clean water, or maybe even poor policies, or something like that, or even lack of proper, even tapped water in that slum, which can be attributed to the ministry, or is it the municipality, such kind of things. So once you analyze your problem, then you need to put it that way in terms of a tree, where you have the causes, the central problem, and then the effects. And the effects can either be direct or indirect. Next slide. Geoffrey, move. So we have a good example here. There's bad drinking water or poor drinking water quality. And some of the causes are missing water taps. Maybe there's no piped water. There's contamination of the drinking water. What is contaminating it? There's poor waste management, where people may be from the factories or from wherever are directing their waste into the rivers. There's also the local administration is not willing, or they are not willing to provide clean drinking water. Now, if drinking water then is of poor quality, now what are the effects of that? There is going to be high prevalence of waterborne diseases. And then if people are sick, they'll not go to work perhaps, and that reduces their ability to generate income. And there's also going to be high child mortality rate if the children become sick. And then if people are not able to generate income, then there's going to be low household income. So then that becomes our problem tree. We have the problem, the central problem, which we need to fix. We have the causes, and we have the effects. Now we said when we come to objective analysis, we want to transform these problems, their causes and effects, into future solutions. So what is going to be the solution to the core problem of the bad drinking water? We are going to have good quality water available for drinking. And if there is good quality water, then we shall arrange these into means, the causes. How shall we obtain good drinking water? And what is that we shall achieve? What is the end? So we are trying to turn that into an objective tree. I don't know whether that is clear. Before we go to the group work, go back to our problem tree. If this was a physical training, this is what we could have done. But now that it's online, we shall use our Jamboard. Go to the next slide up. Yes, we are here. So we are saying we shall turn this into solutions. The core problem is future solution. The causes become the means, and then the effects become the ends. And so, and as you're trying to translate these problems into objectives or solutions, they also need to be realistic. Like if we are saying there is lack of adequate rainfall, what would be the solution for that? The future solution, if I'm talking of adequate rainfall. Paul, what would be the realistic thing to do where we don't have adequate rainfall?
Doctor, you will have to encourage people to make good farming practices as well as reforestation where possible, so that it will help in the altering of the climate.
So we have to really be realistic and see what is achievable. We cannot achieve adequate rainfall because that is a natural phenomenon, isn't it?
Yes.
So we cannot translate lack of adequate rainfall into there is now adequate rainfall from our intervention. However, of course, it is very possible. We can change our behavior. We can adopt climate smart farming practices by even doing afforestation and all that, and that is going to improve. So our action now, or what we are really going to do, is to look at how we try to change that. Not saying directly that this is what we are going to have adequate rainfall. That will not be realistic.
And,
but,
and also practicing green businesses.
Exactly.
We can,
if we change our behavior and
we can support them in
sustainable practices, then we might improve our rainfall system. Yes, Lorna?
Yeah, I was saying like we can support them with the rainwater harvest. Rainwater harvesting, it's one option. And then we can also support them with the building dams, construction of dams.
Yes.
Yeah. Then
so those become very good. Those are really good solutions or objectives that we want to achieve, or the future solutions. Rainwater harvesting, climate smart agriculture, building of dams, so that they can even, whenever there is no rain, then they can do the irrigation bit, so that they can continue being food secure. So that's I said we need to really be realistic. Even when we are turning our problem analysis into an objective analysis, we do things that are real, realistic, and can be achieved. Let's move on, Geoffrey, to the group work. So I want us to imagine that we want to plan a project in regards to the guideline reviewed, those guidelines of the Malawi, and you are imagining that you are a cooperative working in the field of promoting livelihood activities for rural communities. Carry out a problem analysis of the problems of the target group in rural areas in the surroundings of national parks in Malawi. And unlike you, when you go to, how many are we? We are 9. If I remove 3, we are 6. So would you want to work as 2 groups? So we have a group of 3, I think, for better engagement. So Geoffrey is going to do some breakout rooms for, or am I able to do the breakout myself?
Let me assist you do them.
Okay, I will appreciate. So in the breakout room, you go to Jamboard So you go back to the chart, go to the Jamboard, and then you can go to your own slide. You can pick your own frame. And then from there, I want you to analyze what is that problem, or do a problem tree for that particular community. And you're imagining your cooperative working in the field of promoting livelihood activities for rural communities in Malawi for the group living around national parks in Malawi. So Geoffrey is going to assign us to groups. And then once you go to your group, go to Jamboard and try and carry out a problem analysis for that particular case.
So we do it for how many minutes?
We can do it for 10 to allow enough discussion. And then
okay, so what?
Yes.
Okay. So to the participants, what will happen? You will see a pop-up to join the group. So you will just click that on that pop-up, then you will join your group. Then after those minutes are over, you'll be able to come back. So Dr. you said how many minutes once again?
10.
10, okay. So you can join your respective groups. Hello, Rona, Sarah, and Sandile. Did you see the message to join the group? Sandile and Sarah, did you see the message to join the group? Yes, Sandile and Sarah. Did you see the message to join the group? Hello, Sarah, can you hear me? Hello, Sarah, can you hear me?
From what we have put down, so this one becomes our text box.
Are we getting the causes from the stickers around?
Yes, we are just, this is the result of our brainstorming. So from here, we have gotten a core problem. Now we want to get the effects of that problem and what are the causes of that problem. So we have said our core problem is food insecurity.
I think Rose, Dr.
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
I think let's start with the causes, then we end up with effects.
So what are the causes of food insecurity? Definitely climate change, isn't it?
Yeah. One, we have like traditional practices.
Traditional practices, yes. So this one is in the right place.
Then lack of policies.
Lack of policy, perfect. The household income looks like it will be up here. Amma?
Knowledge gaps, how about knowledge gaps?
Yeah, where is my knowledge gap?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should also be down here.
And the poor farming methods.
Poor farming methods also bring about insecurity.
Yeah.
Eric, can you arrange this in a more cool manner?
I don't have the rights. Asira, maybe you can do it from your side.
No. If you go to Jamboard, that's where I am. That's why I'm moving them from there. Jamboard, I don't think you require rights.
Like the person sharing is the one who can do it, because or you want me to do it from Jamboard?
How come I'm doing it? Yeah, I do it from Jamboard. Now, poor education. Poor education becomes an effect, or
it's an effect.
It's an effect.
It's an effect, yeah.
What about poverty? I think, is it an effect? Yeah.
It's an effect.
So
poverty is an effect.
Poverty is an effect. Also change the colors of the causes to be similar and the colors of the effects to be similar and the core problem to have its own color so that we can have a nice problem tree. I don't know, unemployment, should we have it as an effect or we have it as a cause?
An effect.
A cause.
Because if I'm not employed, then I may not.
How does that become a cause, doctor?
The unemployment.
Unemployment. How does the unemployment cause food insecurity? Can someone put me to some speed? I'm lost there.
Yes.
I think we, in the absence of employment, it translates to lack of financial muscle and affordability of food.
So it's a cause. Correct, Sandile?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a cause.
It's a cause. So our core problem is food insecurity and this is caused by all these things. Okay. So this one, the color needs to change to yellow. Okay. Perfect. If you are poor, then you cannot access education, I think. So then that becomes the effects. Mm-hmm. And these are the causes. So in a way, are you seeing how from that call, from the lack of community livelihood from Malawi, we are able to together brainstorm and come up with actually what are the problems in that area? Both their causes, the effects of that core problem. Is everyone able to see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
So the beginning point then is that participatory approach where everyone just puts down. If you're in your office, you can go to the wall and have those sticky notes or cards, whatever you have. Let everyone just write one idea on one card. Then once you have your collection of ideas, then the next stage now is to classify or maybe clarify among all these issues we have put down, all these problems, then which is our core problem. And then the core problem now needs to have causes, and then it needs to have the effects. So that once we translate this into the future, we are saying that once the project has intervened, or with our project intervention, then we are going to translate this into our objectives. This is how we want the future to be. So what would be the future of food insecurity? We want a food secure community, isn't it? We want to maybe, when it comes to the causes, now what are the means to achieve that food security? We shall have proper policies in place. Instead of traditional practices, then the climate smart or modern farming practices. The knowledge gap, then we need to provide knowledge, or is it the technical expertise? We need to have community services. Now, this climate change, we also need maybe to mitigate the climate change and provide employment. And what will be the end result of that? Result, then we shall at least reduce the poverty. There may be access to finance. People will continue going to school. And then the household incomes will improve. And you see the connection between our problem tree and the objective tree. Because then these problems should give us, or we should come up with our future solutions or the interventions for our project from this problem tree. Are we able to see that? Much as we have not spent a good time on it, but at least an idea.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Just a quick one.
Sure.
For the purpose of this session, what will be the tools or any instruments or systems to use so that we are able to identify the problem? I'm looking from this exercise. If you have not identified all the possible problems, it means your problem tree won't be big enough or relevant to the environment or context.
Sure. I think one of the key things guiding us here is, I will not call it a problem statement, but the lot to which we are responding to. But then this is something that can take a lot of time. Drawing a problem tree, it's not a 10-minute thing, or coming up with a problem tree, because really we have to hold those brainstorming sessions and respect everyone's input, so that we are able not to, we'll not leave anything out. I don't know what tools you use for your brainstorming sessions in your organizations. Actimo or Lona? What do you use for brainstorming?
Usually it's about free interaction with everybody so that everybody can share their ideas. And then you come up with what is relevant. Usually.
And actually, in a brainstorming session, every answer is correct. So you don't put off your colleagues and tell them that can work, but when you say the word but, then you have shut down their memory. I mean, you have shut down they will not contribute freely. As Lorna is saying, there needs to be that freedom. So instead of using the word but, you need to use and. You can say, yes, this can work, and we can also do this. So you try to make the environment as free as possible so that in a brainstorming session, we are not having these ones whom we think have the best ideas or these ones we think have the poorest ideas. So everyone is free to contribute, because if we were to capture all the issues, then this is the best way to allow everyone to give their input.
Yes, or to use the carousel method, it also works. Yeah.
And how do we do that? Just explain to us a bit from your work.
The carousel method is when each one would put his idea and then on a small piece of paper or on a large piece of paper, and then the next person will come, will acknowledge what is there and then put his or her own idea on top of what is there.
Perfect. So that also works very well because you're improving or you are adding to what has been suggested.
Exactly.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just a comment, Dr. Since this is planning a program, and as you can see now, like for the case of Malawi, we are so sure of the community that we want to engage. Maybe also as staff or people who are developing the concept note can do a feast to the community and try to talk with the people there to understand the challenges that they are facing. And then from there, you can be able now to maybe come up with a list of those unique challenges which you can come and then start clarifying when you're putting down your concept note.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for that, Eric. So this is a community that we have even been told these are the issues they are looking at. But suppose we have just gone into a community and we don't even know what their issues are, then it will be important perhaps to have a participation with them or an engagement with them to get to know what their issues are. And then of course, when you come back, you can frame that into a problem tree. Any other question? Now, I don't know whether Nani is able to speak. Raymond, I saw he was not on audio. Yeah, even now, I don't think he's on audio. Even Andy dropped off. Okay, I think we can continue, Geoffrey. Let's now go to the presentation. So we have tried coming up with our problem tree. I think we touched on this stakeholder analysis, so we can move on. Various ways of doing the stakeholder analysis. We have this duty bearer analysis. This is usually where you identify who your stakeholders are, relevant for, let's just go back to that slide again, Geoffrey. Who your duty builders are for that particular project, what are their responsibilities and roles for those actors, who is supposed to do what in order to solve our problem or the problem we have identified, what is their willingness or motivation. I mean, what do the duty bearers accept and know do they know their responsibility? And if not, why not? Then the authority, do the duty bearers have the authority to carry out their role? Like if we are talking about those lack of policies, maybe the policymakers do either don't know they are supposed to do that, or maybe they don't even have the authority. If not, why or who has, so that we also approach those other people. Then the resources and capabilities, do the duty bearers have the knowledge? Do they have the skills, both human and material resources? If not, what is missing? Now, this will help us in our analysis of the stakeholders. Next, Geoffrey. Now, the target groups, or who are the final beneficiaries, it's important to define the beneficiaries of our project. Now, whose lives are going to change for the good through the intervention? For the target group, who needs to be involved? In our case, we have assumed we are cooperative. Then we need to describe each of the target groups and the final beneficiaries. That is the people whose lives are going to change. Then we clearly define their needs and constraints and how our proposal or what we are proposing to do is going to address that. And of course, when it comes to cost to the European Commission, there are those cross-cutting issues such as gender and even the human rights that we need to address. Gender, youth, all those are cross-cutting issues. So group work 2, I think we are going to skip that because I wanted us to define our beneficiaries for the Malawi, but we can skip that and go to the objective analysis. And this is where we want to describe our situation in the future once we have solved our problem. So what we are going to do is we are reformulating all our problems from the problem tree into the contrary positive situation and achieve a cause-effect relationship. We transform that into a means and end. And then we shall review if our launch order is consistent. If something is missing, there is no harm in including a new count. Can we do that on the Jamboard? So again, Geoffrey, you're going to share the screen for Jamboard as we try to do that. So we can go to frame number 4. So our objective, I'm trying to look for the, how do I get to Jamboard? So our problem, our core problem was food insecurity. So what's going to be our objective? What is the desired approach? I mean, the desired future from food insecurity to?
Food security.
It's food security. So it's not food insecurity, we want to be food secure. So the community needs to have food security. Thank you. Now, what are the means of achieving the food security? So we go back to the causes will become the means. So we shall translate those causes into means of achieving the food security. For us to achieve food security, maybe we shall have climate change mitigation. How do we write that?
Yeah, it's now mitigation.
Yeah, so we have mitigation being a means to achieve our food security. What was the other one? Lack of policies
Yes, good policy formulation.
So good policy formulation should be part of our whatever. The other problem was poor farming practice. Is it poor farming methods? Yes. So how do we achieve food security from there? Can we talk of climate smart or sustainable farming?
Yes, sustainable farming, I think it will do well.
Sustainable farming methods. So this again is going to be a means to achieve the food security we are talking about, which was, have we left out a card? Yes. There is traditional practices. I don't know whether I write modern practices for the purpose of this, but I'm sure there can be a better one. Modern farming.
I think they put it as desire to move to modern practices of farming.
Desire to move, eh?
Yes, because we cannot like administer it to them, say, move to modern farming when they don't like it.
So it's desire to adopt.
Yes.
Modern farming. Where is that thing which I've written gone? Then which is the other one? Which was the other course which we have not addressed? Unemployment. Maybe gainful employment. For
why don't you put it to a doctor? Not necessarily gainful employment, but gain employment by our own employment through food security.
So I say
ourselves and others. Yes, creating employment.
Oh, creating, perfect.
For ourselves and others.
Yes. Create employment for the cooperative.
Yes.
And community.
Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah. Then next is what? What was the other cause we have not addressed? Lack of community resources. How do we put that?
Ensuring the resources are available on time for the for the farming, each farming season.
Timely resources for farming. Because the government may be distributing some fertilizer long after the rains have come because of poor distribution methods. Okay, have we left anything else on the courses? Lack of policies. I think we have addressed, there was knowledge gap.
I think the knowledge gap also touches on the, say, the farming practices, because you may have the resources, access to the resources, but if you plow down the slope, obviously erosion and other environmentally friendly results will emanate. So maybe in terms of the information gap, it should also touch on the, say, farming capacity, technical issues.
Capacity building for technical farming, whatever. Technology.
Yeah, or technical capacity, either way around, but that's the idea.
Technical capacity building, perhaps.
Technical. Yes, but why don't we put it to investing?
Okay, investing.
Yes, heavy investment into that area.
Invest in technical capacity, yeah.
Yes.
Capacity for the household, for the farming households.
Yeah.
Looks like we can make a very good consortium for these proposals.
Indeed.
But actually, as Eric said it yesterday, if you come across a proposal that you think you'd want assistance in looking for maybe people to partner with, just give us a call. Like right now, there's a proposal on climate change that we are partnering, or our members are partnering with universities. We have one for South Africa and one for Ethiopia. Okay, the Ghana one, I think they are a bit slow, but that can tell you that when it comes to partnerships or these other stakeholders who are interested, then there are many stakeholders out there whom you would partner with, even as a small cooperative as the one that has been started by the youth ambassadors. But there is really a lot that when it comes to collaboration, you can work together to access some of these funds. So long as, of course, you bring out the expectations and the roles for each of the organizations clearly. So I think we are done with the means. Now we go to, what are we calling this other one? The effects. So once we achieve good, food security, then we shall have improved education, isn't it? Or is it improved access to education? I like using the term improved.
Yeah, it's good because you want to fix.
You cannot fix poverty. I think they have been fighting poverty since we were born, and we are still fighting it. So it's going to give us that improved thing. Then we have lack of technology services. Also, we have technology services available. It takes time, but I think once you have gotten the problem right and the objectives, then the rest of the thing is just putting English into the writing, and then you're able to come up with your concept note very quickly. But this is where you need to spend a lot of your time. As one of my teachers once told me, is that once you define the problem properly, it's like you have solved it halfway. So a problem well defined is a problem half solved. Then we have poverty. What do we do with poverty? We reduce. I don't know whether we reduce poverty. Lack of access to finance, low household income. I think our household income can improve. So this one now do not become the effects, they become the ends, ENDS. So after using this to achieve food security, then this is it becomes a means and an end. I think we have one more thing. Lack of access to finance. No. Low household income levels. Improved household income. Huh? I think we have that one also. What is that we are missing? Poor education. And education can be both, even education about the farming practices. I think we can leave it there. So that becomes our objective tree. And then this is what we are going to use to get our result chain. Is everyone seeing how we are translating the negatives in our problem tree into positives? This is what we aspire after the project intervention to achieve as solutions to our core problem, which now becomes the objective. The causes become the means, and then the effects become the ends. So this is now what we have here is our objective tree from our problem analysis. Any question?
Mine is a reaction.
Yes.
I think is to appreciate the way all these project methods, compiling, drafting is being summarized. It's just clear and straight to the point.
Yeah, we need to keep it simple. Because once you know what your problem is and the objectives, you can actually put the rest is just putting the English into the explaining now, into explaining what you really want to achieve. I don't know what you think about that, Eric, but that's how I find it. You can make it simplified by what is your problem, who are the stakeholders, what are your objectives, and then you achieve that. Because to this now, we are able to get activities, and to the activities, we can come up with our resources or the budget to that. And what does our proposal include? It includes all that. The activities, the impact, the outcome, and then the budget to achieve that. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Dr. Kalimi. And as we noted yesterday, this is actually, now you can see the sense in it. When we talk, like, the concept node is like, when you are doing out a writing, it's at the head, at the end. The most critical stage is the analysis stage. Once you get the analysis stage right, then it means that even when you are going to put now your points together, when you want to come up with your outcomes, your output and your activities, then it becomes simple and clear, having gone through this process.
Okay, thank you. Geoffrey, now you can share the screen for our slides. And whatever is on Jamboard will remain there. So you can feel free even anytime to go there and do your own things. Since you have access to
You're right. But I wanted to say, Dr. Karim, I wanted to say, just like access to finance, improved access to finance, food security does not improve education, but instead it improves also the access to quality education, because the households would now be having more disposable incomes once they've got food security. Yes.
Perfect. Let's change that. So we are improving access to quality education.
To education, yes, rather than improving education.
Perfect. I think I like that. So where is this now? Improving. Where are we?
Jump up.
Can you improve that? Improve access?
Yes, access to quality education.
And yes. Because before our education was poor. And actually, even if I have no food and I'm in class, then I may not even understand what is happening in that particular class.
Concentration would be a challenge then.
Exactly, concentration, if I'm on an empty stomach. Thanks for that. Thanks for improving our objective tree. So I think what we've done, we have now reformulated all our problems of our problem tree into positive situations in the future. And we can go on and on to make sure that it is really final, to make sure that it's really good. Next. Now, strategy analysis, I think this is where we analyze the strategies, like the objectives, how we will include them in our project selection, the strategies that will be used to reach those desired objectives. The following criteria should be taken into account. What resources are available? Do we have the expertise as an organization? And this is where I said you can analyze if there is an organization that you feel has got perhaps expertise. Do you think you can work with them on such a project? Then what are the priorities of the beneficiaries? You know, we may be thinking that our beneficiaries really require mosquito nets because they are suffering from malaria. And maybe what they need are not mosquito nets, but fishing nets. Because if they caught fish in the lake or the sea, then they are able to sell the fish and get the money to buy or to go to hospital or to buy the mosquito nets themselves. So it's really important to know what the priorities of our beneficiaries are. And that's why it's important to engage them, as Eric said, even as we try to come up with what the problems in the community are. Then, which objectives are likely to be achieved in the given time frame? So our objectives, again, have to be smart because we need to be within the resources and the time that is given. If a project should take 2 years, we should not think of objectives that can only be achieved after 5 years or 4 years. So that's the essence of looking at, within that given framework, what is that we have, both in terms of time and resources. I think this should have been the objective analysis, not strategy. This is the example we are given about the poor drinking water. So those are just examples of the drinking water quality has improved, then that becomes our outcome. Geoffrey, where are you?
Should I go back?
So if we look at that problem tree we had before, then whatever is up here after our objective or the outcome, what we want the project to achieve is improve the quality drinking water. So anything else up here now becomes our impact. We shall have less waterborne diseases, reduced child mortality, improved ability to gain household income, increased household income. Then down here, we have our outputs or activities. This is where the local administration is willing to provide services. There is more water taps available or piped water. Wastewater is not contaminated. And how is it not contaminated? By improving our waste management. So these things will actually lead us to how we shall do our activities. What is it, or what strategies we need to put in place? Let's move next. You can actually see everything is all emanating from how we defined our problem tree. So this is, we are trying to analyze, are all objectives from our objective tree feasible? Can we achieve them with a given time and resources? Identify the possible strategies, and then the activities for the different objectives. Move next. I think because of time, we may not be able to do another group work. So we are done with our analysis phase. Now next is to go to the planning phase. And in the planning phase, I said we are trying to develop the logic or the log frame matrix. And a log frame matrix will involve what we call the result chain. And it's not about the activities, it's about what you achieve. And the key question is, who is doing something different? What is going to give the biggest positive change or behavior change? Is your project going to really give a change? So we are interested not in what you do, but in what you achieve by doing that. So we are interested in the results, not the activities. The activities are important, yes, but the key thing is, what results do you achieve? Next, Geoffrey. Now, if you look at our result chain or the log frame matrix, we have the result chain in terms of the activities will give us the inputs, the outputs, sorry. The outputs will give us the outcome will give us the impact. And then the activities, if you remember our objective tree, those activities should be around our means, what we call our means and resources we have. And then the outputs will give us the indicators. And then in the outcome, we also have some outcome indicators. So the impact is going to show us what the project wants to achieve. And then the indicators are going to show us the way to verify. If we said we are going to train a certain number of farmers on sustainable farming, then what is that will indicate? Or what indicator shall we use to evaluate whether that has been achieved? So these are ways to verify. And the means of verification, what are the sources and instruments of data collection? Is it, when it comes to a training, the attendance sheets, or is it the progress reports for those farmers? Or is it a pre and post before they came to the training? They used to achieve this, and after training, they have been able to improve their farming practices, and now they are able to achieve a certain number of production or productivity on their farm. And then what are the assumptions? What is that we are assuming is going to hold, or what are those preconditions that we assume will hold for our project to achieve the results? So that's the rock frame matrix. And you can see that once you've started with the problem tree, go to the objective analysis, it is very easy now to fill out these other, the result chain, the indicators, the means of verifications, and the assumptions. Next. The impact we send is the long-term change to which our action contributes. And this can be at the country, regional, or sectoral level, political, social, and economic, or global context. Then the outcome, this is the medium-term effect of our intervention, either institutional changes or behavioral changes. Then you could have other relevant short-term effects. The output, these are the tangible or the direct products in terms of goods and services, or the infrastructure, or whatever has been generated by our intervention. And then of course, the activities, these are the actions that we need to carry out so that we can transform whatever resources we are having as inputs into the tangible products or the outputs for our project. Now, if we take the case of Malawi, the impact that that project may contribute to is environmental, because of course we are addressing climate change, social and economical sustainability in Malawi. The project will just contribute towards that. So we cannot really achieve the impact with our project of just 2 or 4 years, but we are aiming to contribute to that particular goal. Then the outcome, perhaps we are talking of 200 farmers or 200 households having food security, because we said our core problem is food insecurity. And then other outcomes perhaps that will come out of that is their productivity and their income increases for those 200 farmers. And the output is we expect after our intervention, then these farmers are able to use sustainable and climate smart or climate adapted agricultural methodologies. And what activities? One of the activities could be training the farmers in sustainable and climate smart agricultural methodologies. Of course, the resources will be finance, the human, and other resources. So that then gives us, we are able to put that now in our log frame matrix because we have the result chain. So the results we are interested in, not the activities. You need to show the outcome, the outputs, and the overall impact. What are you contributing to in your project? Do you have any question on that one for Malawi? Next, Geoffrey. Again, this is just something showing us from the activity, you achieve the output, then the outcome, and the overall impact. The reason why these ones are gray is because this is where we have we are directly responsible for the action and the output. So the outcome may or may not happen, but we hope we are contributing towards that.
Maybe Dr. Asira, just a comment on
go back
those parts. Back, yeah. On the activity and the output, as Dr. Karimi has said, and you can see there's a boundary which has been drawn there. What we decided to emphasize is that at this point, the activities and the outputs, these are the direct issues which the project can be able to address. Like they are under the control of the project that you've come up with. The outcome, this is your area of influence. You can be able to influence, like the vicinity within which your project can be able to reach. But the attribution gap, the impact, this is like the general effect to the larger society. And one author just recently said that for the impact, you cannot be able like to restrict it. It's more less general as compared to the outcome and the outputs. The outputs you can be able to attach. It is more specific. If it is 200 farmers, you know these are 200 farmers. But for the impact, you won't like limit them to, because the impact is more or less general.
Thanks, Eric, for that. I think the other slide, what was really key today is how to come up with a problem tree so that we are, from the problem tree, we're able to get our results chain, which is then going to give us our information to put in the log frame. So it depends on the activities. You can have output 1 being contributed to by activity 1.1, 1.2, like that. So this is just a matter of how many activities you shall have for your particular project. But I think given our time limit, we may not get into budgeting. Maybe that will be for another session. I think for today, what we captured, that's the key thing we really wanted you to get. Just go to those columns explained, Geoffrey. The result chain we send is the impact, the outcome, the outputs and the activities, the indicators. The baseline is where you have collected what the situation is before the project so that you're able to know then what's the target. If 10 farmers today are not practicing or they are able to practice climate smart agriculture, what would we want after the project, the target to be? Maybe we want the 200 farmers. Then when someone is doing monitoring and evaluation, then they're able to see. The baseline was 10, today we are talking of 90. So at least there is a value that they can attach to something and be able to monitor the project based on your indicators. Next, Geoffrey. How do we design a convincing log frame? We have to develop the results chain first. And that's where we use the information we have gathered in our objective tree. Start with the outcome level. What do you want to achieve? Our objective. Then move down to output and activity. What needs to be done and be provided? What are the activities? You link them to the outputs through numbering, like we have just seen in the other one. So at least the first thing you need to do is to make sure that your problem analysis and your objective tree are talking to each other. That means the objective tree is a future solution of your problem analysis. Then these others, as I said, you just be able to transform that information or move that information into your research chain. And of course, you keep on checking the logic all the time. And we had given this example before, Geoffrey. So we can move ahead. Develop the research chain of your project. That's for the Malawi. Maybe our outcome, we can directly link that to the food security issue. Then from the means, we can get our activities and outputs. And then the impact statement, of course, has to come from our, what do you call them? Our ends. What is it we want to achieve at the end? And include more activities if needed. If we had more time, this is what we can do, but I don't think we have more time for this. We have already been here for 2 hours. And given the attention span, given that it was the afternoon, I think I would wish us to end our session. Or you think you can continue?
No, we can't.
Someone used the word can't. Yeah, I think we have earned too much for today. And that was actually the basics we wanted you to get. Once you have the correct problem defined and with the objective, these others are just a matter of putting them where they belong, so long as you have the format. Any question?
Yes, Doctor, I just want to find out on the use of the logjam. Is it that when you have a Zoom meeting or a Zoom call, you can just log onto the logjam and use it, or is a special requirement?
No, the Jamboard. The Jamboard is it's whatever on your, it's on Google actually. So you can use it even with Microsoft Teams or any other meeting, but it's just to, like you see when on Jamboard we were able to interact, like we could work on the same document.
I saw it as a very effective enabler for,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a very good one, especially for online training.
Yeah.
So even if your organization is using Microsoft Teams or which are the other online things, or Google, is it GoToMeeting?
GoToMeeting. So, we have
you can actually have Jamboard as an extra interaction tool for the participants, where once they have been divided into groups, then they can work from there.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah, so it's for making the interaction easier. Just the way, like, you know, when we are in a physical meeting, we are able to work together.
It makes training simple and exciting.
Yeah, especially the different stickers. Okay, any other question? I wish we could read about more time, but I think because of technology that you cannot focus so much online for more than 2 or 3 hours. We would like to end it here, and maybe we look for another opportunity to interact. I hope you have gained something from yesterday and today. So we look forward to hearing you looking for proposals, and then we see how we can assist.
Last one.
Yes, Sandile.
Yes, maybe a reminder to share the material so that we can just revise and review.
Okay. Geoffrey, you had that. So, and even Lorna, yes. I think she didn't get the materials for yesterday. So again, you can share. You can share all of them.
Okay.
And Eric, there was one from, there was one you shared with the other team last year. There was one by the EUD, I don't know. I didn't see it.
A call or?
Not a call, like something on the, like a document. I'll let you know, then maybe you can share
Oh,
it.
the project cycle management.
The project cycle, yes, because that
Okay,
will be also important for them to refer to.
We'll include
What
it
we
in
did here was